Hey everyone, Musical Joker here. The mood of episode 5 is extremely dynamic, and this episode had me feeling a range of emotions. All due to fun shenanigans with Lupin and Jigen, to domestic abuse with Yoko, to then a revolutionary army with Lupin II taking center stage. This episode has a clear sense of what it wants to convey while also not letting up. Firstly, Yoko is an associate with the revolutionary army, and her dealings done in previous episodes, and off screen, being related to them, and this time is no different, which unfortunately makes her a victim of abuse in order to be able to retrieve something important for the revolution. Obviously, I'm angry over this. Although we know very little about Yoko's intentions at first, she's been a kind friend to Lupin and Jigen, and it was awful seeing her get hurt. Of course, Lupin feels the same way, since he attempted to confront the believed abuser, which wasn't him, and only for him to be defeated, with Yoko saving him. This moment had me going crazy since Lupin was clearly no match, and his tricks did not help in assisting him with this fight, unlike in previous ones. This chain reaction of events led to everyone abandoning Lupin, and I simply can't imagine how shitty Lupin must feel. Taking a massive L and being unable to protect Yoko, your best friend leaving you, and telling you to go on the straight and narrow to along with Shinobu. Lupin is feeling constrained with everyone telling him what to do and how he should live his life. Now, this leads to Lupin deciding on his own path, which is something I knew that was coming, but I loved when it happened. Obviously, from the shit show that was Arsène Lupin and how much of an asshole he was, and what the fuck he has men now? This old man has game. Anyway, and his own dad going out for some milk, Lupin doesn't want to acknowledge or accept any destiny that either have set for him. I wouldn't want that. I would want to live by my own rules, make my own friends, and do what I want. I can game till 5 in the morning. I can stop whenever I want to. What makes this moment better for Lupin is that this happens during a conversation between him and Jigen, agreeing that fighting opponents far greater than him gives him the thrill of a lifetime. So Lupin decides to live forward as Lupin III, and to forge his own path. Although he'll still be very horny like his predecessors. I guess it just runs in the family. And Lupin and Jigen shippers, you win this round. Lupin's first professional heist is to steal Jigen, as he just touches him for 5 seconds and was like, did that work? With Jigen being like, oh yeah it did. This was the biggest sexual moment and tension I've ever felt between these two characters, and I couldn't help but laugh since I knew I lost here. All jokes aside, I think the whole shipping concept is cool since the charisma between characters are unlike any other, and you can see that. Like, this was adorable. The death of Lupin and the beginning of Lupin III began with stealing his friend. You literally can't get more romantic than that. And before I end this section, to all you shippers out there, I'm going to have the last laugh here because this moment is now null and void of any lovey-doveyness because both men are wearing socks. I don't make the rules, I just follow them. I'm so dumb. I'm so sorry. Moving on, this episode's focus is creating the stepping stones for the last episode's events to occur. My biggest issue right now with this episode is the continuous buildup of questions and lack of answers. I feel as though, and call me crazy, we haven't received enough buildup to these current events and it feels out of place and rushed just for the sake of Lupin becoming Lupin III. I believe that Lupin 0 would have benefited from getting a longer adaptation since I love the episodes with Lupin and Jigen doing some wacky stuff, and not entirely focusing on some sort of overarching conflict that has now made itself more prevalent, but still divides some time to focus on this now big conflict. Where is the setup for this and why introduce the revolution of Tokyo now of all times? You've taken English class, you should know how this works. The 5 elements of a story plot diagram. We have the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Lupin 0, instead of looking like this, it looks like this. Currently sitting at the climax of the story, but with what build up to this conflict? All we know was that Yoko was doing stuff off screen, since Lupin and Jigen were the main focus of the story, and Lupin's dad is still taking forever to get that goddamn milk. Every story needs some sort of conflict. This is what creates a great story and keeps the characters dynamic and real, but not like this. Some could say that Lupin and Jigen's relationship to Yoko and how she relates to everything is the start of the conflict. No, because at that point, where she was introduced, it comes off as episodic, since they both rescued her and left barely anything that can extend into the future until we got to episode 3, where we see her once again for a bit, and episode 5. What about the exposition being the introduction to Lupin's conflict of not wanting to have his life decided for him? The rising action is the buildup of Lupin learning through his relationships with Jigen on what kind of person Lupin wants to be and what life he wants to live. And now, with the conflict of him facing an external force as he changes to Lupin III, all to save Yoko. Well, that is the main point of the show and also a better argument, but I do believe there could have been a better way to introduce the conflict that keeps in line with the theme, or further fleshing out the conflict of Yoko being involved in a revolution with Lupin wanting to save her. I could be completely talking out of my ass, as I guarantee that we would see Lupin come face to face with his dad and possibly his grandfather, which would serve as the falling action of Lupin's lifestyle theme. Or, there are things I completely missed throughout these few episodes. This current conflict feels lacking to me, and I feel as though we could have gotten more from this, but we will see in episode 6. Overall, this episode was still great and exciting setup for the second heist of Lupin III, with Yoko being his treasure to steal. I wonder how things may play out, as I feel as though Yoko might die and Lupin needing to come face to face with his dad. I also have an inkling of a feeling he might die too, as Lupin has to get his Walther P38, his signature gun, by the end of the series. And finally seeing how Lupin takes on the mantle of Lupin III within this last episode, as that's all there will be to it. So I hope you are all excited as I am for the finale of Lupin 0. So, until next time everyone, farewell.